If you work in QuickBooks Online long enough, eventually you are going to have to reach out to Intuit Customer Support for something that is going on in the file. Sometimes there are things that are happening that are overall outages that QuickBooks is aware of, and they can add you to a list basically to be notified when the issue is resolved. And sometimes there are just things that are happening in our files that we need a little bit of help with. Let's talk about a few troubleshooting things that you can do before you actually pick up the phone to call Intuit. So first things first, if you are having trouble with anything in your QuickBooks Online file and you've tried it a couple times and it's just not working quite the way you would like, the first thing to do is to try logging out and logging back in again. Okay, I know it sounds like the standard turn it off and turn it back on, but sometimes the issue will be resolved with that. Additionally, you can try some other troubleshooting normal items, right? So you might try clearing your browsing data. You might try opening it in Safari if you're in Chrome, or in Edge if you're in Safari, right? Try a different browser. Sometimes that will resolve the issue. You can also, of course, try opening the same file, opening your QuickBooks file and logging in an incognito browsing tab. Sometimes that will resolve the issue that you're seeing. However, if you have tried all of those things and the issue is still not resolved, there are a couple things that I advise doing before you reach out to Intuit support. So first things first, if you have a bookkeeper or a CPA and they help you with your accounting or with your QuickBooks file, it never hurts to shoot them a quick email for a couple of reasons. First, they actually have special accountant access to Intuit help. So for example, if I have a client reach out to me and they're having a problem in their file, I don't have to get on the phone and wait on hold for hours with Intuit. I have the ability to go into their file, go into a special help window for accountants and CPAs, and have them call me. They usually call me within about 5 minutes. So that means that the turnaround time on getting a problem resolved ends up being a little bit quicker. In addition, there is also a help feature built into Intuit Online, and it's basically all of the help articles and all of those items distilled down, and they use Intuit Intelligence, which is their AI agent, to help you find answers. Now, while this is not universally helpful, sometimes it can at least help you eliminate some issues. So let's look at how we do that. On this upper navigation pane right here, you'll see there's a little question mark with a circle around it, and that is your help button. So if you open this up, you can see Intuit Intelligence pops up, and there are some suggested items that you might be having trouble with. Well, let's say that you're having trouble with something that's a little bit more advanced than how to categorize transactions. Let's say that you want some help with, for example, mapping out your payroll. You could type in payroll mapping and then hit send, and Intuit is going to go and find articles that it thinks will be helpful to you, as well as step-by-step instructions that it thinks would help guide you through whatever issue you're looking at. Okay, so this is much easier than going to Google, because you know that the answers that are coming out are going to be from Intuit support agents who have already posted this online in Intuit blogs or elsewhere. And it's also available to you right here in your file. Okay, so that can kind of cut down on the basically just the deluge of information that is out there, and it can hopefully help you find something that is going to be helpful to you specifically. Okay, so let's say we've gone through all of this. We have tried opening in a new browser, we've tried clearing our browsing history, we've tried an incognito browser, and we're still having a problem with our QuickBooks file that warrants reaching out to QuickBooks Online support. Well, there are a couple other things that you want to be aware of before you reach out to them, okay? So first, when you call, there are different lines for different concerns. So one of the first things that you might want to do is try to find the correct number online. I know this can be a little bit fraught, but there is nothing more frustrating than waiting on hold with any support place and finding out you've called the wrong number. So be sure that you are calling the QuickBooks Online number, not the QuickBooks desktop number. Otherwise, you're going to be starting that whole on hold cycle over again. Another thing is you're going to want to be sure that you have available and at your fingertips your company ID number. Okay, this is a 16-digit code usually, although I've actually seen it be a couple different variations more recently. And it basically is a unique identifier of your company. QuickBooks Online support is going to ask you for this as soon as you get on the phone with them. And basically what that does, and the reason that they're doing it, is they are going to be able to see your subscription level based on the information that they pull with your company ID number. And they're also going to be able to confirm that you are somebody who is authorized to speak, who they are authorized to speak to for this particular file. Okay, so it ensures that people aren't calling and changing settings who shouldn't be. And on top of that, it allows them to look at your subscription, because sometimes things that we're running up against that are limitations on what we can do in the file have to do with our subscription level or the other plugins and purchases that we have in play. So it gives them a little bit more information on the back side of what is going on so that they can better assist us. In order to find your company ID, you're going to hit Control-Alt ? In Windows and Control-Command ? on Mac. And that is going to pull up this company ID and keyboard shortcuts menu, okay? So your company ID is right here at the top. And like I said, that's a 16-digit number that they are going to ask you for. So before you pick up the phone, I highly recommend either having this screen up and ready or writing this down somewhere so that you will be able to provide it to them as soon as you get on the call, okay? It just cuts down on the friction of getting an answer to your question quickly. Okay, and this menu is pretty cool. You can see there's a whole bunch more information here. So you have keyboard shortcuts, which I actually have a whole nother video about. I will link that here. But keyboard shortcuts are another fun thing. Not quite when it comes to the process of calling Intuit support though, okay? So if you ever need to reach out to them, you should definitely walk through your normal troubleshooting routine and then make sure you have all the information ready so that when they pick up the phone, you can dive right in. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Holly from Accrual, Mistress Bookkeeping and Consulting. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave those in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.